Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
And we are back. Did you miss us? Did you miss me, Allie? Okay. Well, we're back, and it is the start of a brand new season 9 of this here podcast. Congratulations to all of us and to all of you listeners. Allie, season 9. Oh my God.
Crazy. We've been doing it for so long. It feels like it's been a minute since I jumped in, and it also feels like a lifetime in a good way.
It's been a lifetime because this podcast started in 2020. You jumped in 2021. So don't ask us why we've been around for 6 years, but it's season 9. The shortest version of the answer is that we used to do seasons a different way. Now we just do a season per year, but we used to kind of do like 2 seasons. So that's why we're at season 9. And one of the beautiful things Allie brought to us was that now our seasons are kind of in line with the European seasons.
I'm just so European-centric. I was like, I can't be dealing with your nonsense. I'm like, we will go with the European seasons alone.
The new thing we did this summer was our little summer series, which I really enjoyed. And the thing I will miss from that are your games.
Yeah, Mike does have a game, and I'm excited because I want to do it because I was game master. I didn't get to play during our summer season, so I would like to, in the words of, is it from Saw? You want to play a game?
Anyways, speaking of summer, because we just did our summer series, we concluded that we're back for episode 1 of season 9. And this is a clunky transition, but a transition nonetheless. Speaking of summer, what's happening next summer? It's the Women's World Cup 2027, Allie. But the Women's World Cup 2027 Brazil schedule was just announced, Allie. And in our break, we had the WAFCON Championship. And currently, just to keep everybody updated, let's do a brief update about where the qualification process stands right now for next summer.
Okay, so bear in mind, as long as FIFA doesn't do anything stupid.
Yeah, big asterisks there.
Big asterisks. This is how things stand. So people we know are going to be at the World Cup is all of the Asia slots have been filled. So that is Australia, China, South Korea, Japan, and Philippines and North Korea are also in. And then with the conclusion of WAFCON, the 4 slots from CAF are Cameroon, Malawi, debutantes, Algeria, also debutantes, and Morocco. Shockingly, based on results, Nigeria will not be in the World Cup.
Yeah, that was the most shocking, I think, of it all, coming out of the Africa Cup of Nations, especially because, we know there to be an inter-confederation playoff tournament. I think some people were like, well, can Nigeria potentially still qualify for the World Cup through that? No, Nigeria will not be a part of the World Cup, and it will be the first in many years that the Super Falcons aren't represented. And we will be really bummed to miss them because they're always so fun to watch and so fun on the world stage. But Algeria and Malawi debutantes, we love to see that. This Africa Cup of Nations, Tamara Griffin is a fantastic writer for The Athletic. If you don't follow her, you should. And she wrote a great article about how a lot of the chatter around the Africa Cup of Nations was about how we couldn't watch it. And instead, it should have just been about how we were watching it. And it was incredible. And it was some of the best soccer that we've seen out of the continent of Africa in a very long time. It was so much fun. So do not underrate these 4 nations come World Cup time.
I'm excited that Malawi got through because Malawi was so fun to watch this time round. They were so much fun. So I'm so excited that they are going to be on the world stage. So those are the only confirmed people we have. We do have a lot of qualifications. Actually, no, I lie because there are some Europeans, and I'll get to those when we talk about the UEFAs. But those are the...
And some CONMEBOLs who have qualified too.
Yes. So those are the completed nations. So you've got CONCACAF, which is Sarah's baby.
I don't claim CONCACAF. I have to exist within CONCACAF. I don't claim CONCACAF. North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. There's 4 slots available, and the quarterfinals will begin on November 27th. It'll be USA versus El Salvador, Jamaica versus Costa Rica, Canada versus Panama, Mexico versus Haiti. So there's 8 teams left, and essentially you just have to win one game. At this point, where we are in the process, whoever wins this game between those 4 matchups, they will qualify. If you make semifinals, you will qualify, period, the end.
Let's not rehash how much I hate this.
I know. Allie's annoyed because the U.S. qualifies for winning one game, and then you look at UEFA and it's a bloodbath.
Yeah. And then you have CONMEBOL. So we have 3 slots, which includes host nation Brazil. You have to remember that they got a very small section. So Brazil automatically qualified because they are the host nation. And then based off of the playoffs we've had, it will be Argentina and Colombia that will be going through.
And then Oceania, just one slot. It will be New Zealand.
New Zealand, indeed. And then UEFA, we have 4 confirmed spots. Those are the ones that won their groups in the League of Nations League A. So that is Germany, Denmark, Spain, and France. And then later on this year, there will be qualifiers for the rest of the European slots because they have 11. So that will be the rest of the League of Nations. So there's a few home nations in there. England have got Greece, from my recollection. So yeah, and then there's the whole Inter-Confederation tournament that will kick off once all of solidified.
11 slots total in UEFA, 4 of them taken, 7 left. And then, yeah, as Ali said, 3 Inter-Confederation playoff tournament slots after that. So we're close. We're on our way.
It's very exciting.
It's very exciting. The countdown has begun, everybody. Less than 365 days until we see you in Brazil. But that's not what we're here to talk about, Ali. We have domestic football at play. We're going to talk NWSL. We're going to talk WSL because it's kicking off now in less than 2 weeks. At this point, it's going to be a week and a half. It's not this coming weekend. It's the weekend after that. So we will get you fully prepped with all that you need to know from the off season going into the WSL.
So we are going to kick it off with the NWSL because that has continued despite us taking a break. Some crazy stories. So it's going to be more of a news segment for you guys. I'm just going to hit off there. We're not going to really talk about games except for maybe a couple. But
we'll talk about games. Don't worry. I've got things to say.
But I brought this to Sarah. I'm sure Sarah's sorry, but me being perpetually online, I had to bring this up and it does fit in the NWSL category, which is Esther González. I'm laughing because it's ludicrous. Left Gotham by mutual consent. It was said that she had some family stuff. She had some personal issues she had to go sort out back in Spain. Fair. We were all like, we hope you see you back soon. I don't even think Gotham realised how soon we would see her back.
Oh my God. You never know.
So yeah, Esther González was signed for a Saudi Arabia club in Al Qadisiyah, which is insane to me for many reasons. Mainly, she is an openly queer woman with a wife and baby.
I'm not even professionally online, and I saw this come across my feed, and I probably just eye-rolled and continued to scroll. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. We've had this conversation with multiple, arguably, stars who have chosen to go get paid in Saudi Arabia. It's been a question mark to us altogether every single time it happens, Hallie, for this exact reason, where it's like, yeah, we get that you're getting paid, but how are you existing over there? We don't know. And it's perplexing for a lot of reasons. Also because I think Esther's still playing. I personally thought she was playing at a high level still. And I think she could have gone somewhere.
I thought she was going back to Spain. I honestly thought, not a Barcelona, but she was probably going to go to a Real, an Atletico, one of those. I think she's the highest profile player to do it. There's been obviously profile players, but I think she's the highest profile player to do it. I think it is an insane, I was talking about this with my football friends and my queer friends, and it is an insane thing to do as a queer person, because is it going to be like what they've done with Ronaldo, which is they're going to break some rules for her to allow her to bring her wife and her child? I don't think they are, because even though they are putting all this money in the women's game, so does that mean she's going to be there for a year, not bring her wife and child out to go play in this league? The money can't be that much. It cannot be worth it.
I'm curious what the money is. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it's like she can still play soccer at the highest level. And let's just call a spade a spade. The professional domestic ball in Saudi Arabia is not the highest level in this world. So why not go play at a high level when you can play at a high level? Yeah, it's a little perplexing. It's big news. I think you said it best. This is certainly the most high profile player to go and do this. All right. Moving it along from one high-profile player to another, but this is going to be, I think, a bittersweet, but certainly a happier moment, I think.
Also, I think can I just say very rudely, I think you've only mentioned one when two happened back to back weeks, and I think I want to say there's justice for another player.
Go for it. You say it. You say it. Because I haven't even mentioned one.
Okay, so you're talking about the fact that Tobin Heath got honoured by Portland. Was it last weekend?
I think it was this past weekend. No, she wasn't just honored by Portland. She got to retire as a Thorn, which is really special.
That is really special. But do you know who also got honoured the week before?
I believe it was
Megan Klingenberg. And
oh, sorry. My bad.
Who is an equal legend in my eyes.
No. Listen, we're not here to disparage, and I don't say this in a disparaging way, but Kling was a wonderful contributor, great player for Portland. Tobin Heath is a legend, not just for the Thorns, not just in the NWSL, not even just for the women's national team here in the United States, but literally across the world. And I would argue played a really big role in changing women's soccer. So this is not disrespect to make Klingenberg. I'm so happy she was honored for her Portland career. This is another level, though. You're laughing.
I am because I'm like, Sarah's just digging and digging.
You think I'm digging? Shoot. I thought I was really digging myself out of something, but apparently I was not.
I'm winding you up in the fact that you're right. Tobin and
Thank
Kling
you.
are a very different thing. But
I mean, Tobin Heath joined Arsenal back in the day.
Back in the day, it was a couple of years ago.
It feels like back in the day. And you see the behind the scenes footage of like Leah Williamson fangirling over Tobin Heath. Like, that's a superstar over there. Like, that's the level Tobin Heath is at now. So I need to drop it. Anyways, really nice. And the scenes of her getting to watch her, like the tribute video that they put together for her and her getting emotional for it. I think new soccer fans probably don't care about this, but for those of you who have listened for a long time, who've been on the journey with us, who are watching, we're watching our era really come to a close. This was big.
No, I get that. I was, like I said, I had many people check on me when Ellen White retired, so I get it. I do. And Tobin is a legend. It is huge. And, because is there any now left from the last World Cup win?
From 2019?
Yeah.
Technically Alyssa Nair still playing, not internationally, but still playing.
Nope, but she's still there.
Mal Swanson, who at the time was known as Mal Pugh. Morgan, then known as Brian, now Morgan Gautrat, is still playing, just not internationally and not in the NWSL. She's around.
She's at Newcastle.
Lindsay Heaps.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Why did I forget about Heaps? Yes.
Tierna Davidson, Emily Sonnet, Rose Lavelle.
There's a few left then. I thought there was more retired.
That's everybody. That's the end of it. The youngsters, they're the vets. Rose Lavelle was a youngster. Lindsay then Haran was a youngster. Davidson was a youngster. Yeah. Moving it along, Allie.
No, because I'm obsessed with this. The Michelle Cooper cleat drama of it all. Now, if anyone hasn't been paying attention, Michelle Cooper has been fined for showing her cleats in a goal celebration.
Yeah. We covered this whole thing because there's kind of been, it's been in the news a lot. It was in the news before Michelle Cooper and this, so this is like the second iteration, the latest update on this. But the NWSL actually has an old rule that they're just deciding to now newly implement, which is essentially to say that to really tighten up the rule, because there's a lot of provisions to it. But if I'm going to really shorten it, it's basically like if a player is wearing cleats from a brand that isn't a sponsor of the league, that player either has to cover up that logo so the brand isn't getting exposure because they're not technically sponsoring the league also, or they like can't wear those cleats. But essentially you can't give free advertising to a brand that isn't also a sponsor of the league. It's in my opinion, insane. We've already talked about this. What happened with Michelle Cooper was she was wearing New Balance cleats and she didn't cover up the New Balance cleats. And then she went and posted on her Instagram story the letter that the NWSL sent to her, fining her, which is really funny, and literally wrote, quote, "So shop New Balance, we can have matching cleats." Which is kind of epic in my opinion, and a great advertisement.
I was like, you know what? That is probably the best. Like, I'm sure New Balance are going to give her a ton of more cleats now after that.
Yeah, good for her. Good for her. So this rule that they're like newly implementing, it's been more in the news, but she's kind of the first player to come forward and criticize it. The NWSL Players Association has been kind of challenging the league's enforcement of this policy, but there haven't been any updates since then. And I believe it was also her teammate Kayla Sharples who got fined as well. Chicago Stars forward, who unfortunately now has torn her ACL, Jordan Heidema, also wears New Balance. I don't believe it. Yeah, she was fined as well. Also, Sofia Huerta of Seattle Reign. Basically, if you're wearing New Balance, you're getting fined, which feels very unfair and kind of wild, Allie.
Bit targeted.
Yeah. I hope New Balance is just paying these fines for the players because it's probably still cheaper than sponsoring the league.
Sounds about right. Yeah, I would.
All right. Should we talk about the league a little bit now?
Let's talk about the league. It's been interesting. Developments have developed.
Tell me.
I'm talking about because I'm looking at the table as we speak, and there are teams now that have fallen off. There is one team which I know you want to talk about that seems to have pulled away. So let's talk about the Gotham of it all.
We have to talk about the Gotham of it all because this was a team that before the June break had only played really bottom of the table teams. They hadn't been challenged. Coming into July, we knew it would be a challenge. We didn't know how they would fare. Obviously, the injection of Sam Kerr has been absolutely massive for this side, but this is a team that's also been posting the best defense. The combination of the two has been pretty outstanding. They find themselves on top of the table, 44 points. They are, 7 points clear, I believe? Yeah, of the second place Washington Spirit right now. Their last loss was July 4th. That's crazy. They have beaten Utah, Washington, Seattle, Bay FC, Houston, San Diego, Kansas City Current. They've tied Portland and they've tied Angel City FC. All of those, they have not lost a game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 now. 9 straight. We need to discuss it because at the end of the day, this is a statement. And for me, the big question is Washington and Portland are sitting locked at 37 points in second and third place, respectively. Washington lost a ton of players, the most of any NWSL team, to WAFCON, and a bunch of key starting players as well, also key players off the bench. So Washington Spirit is now going to get a re-injection of some talent that arguably won't really be rested either, unfortunately. But I think that this is not an accurate representation of where Washington should stand. And this to me feels like an inflection point where are Gotham going to run away with it or can Washington keep up and catch up?
I'm going to go with A, that Gotham are going to run away with it because even though Washington, like you said, have got some talent coming back in, they're not going to be very well rested. They're coming back from injury. They're coming back from whatever. I think Washington will give Gotham a fight, but 7 points is still a chunk of change even at this stage of the season.
Interesting. I kind of think Washington's going to catch up. I think they're going to keep up. I think it's going to be a 2-team race. Portland are just the team that won't go away. And look, we look at the table and I think that I thought there was going to be a little more separation, but it's still second and third place are tied at 37 points. Fourth and fifth place in Utah and San Diego tied at 36 points. North Carolina just behind them. We want to talk about some surprises, Allie? I want to talk about North Carolina and San Diego really quickly.
Yes.
North Carolina, I was like, they are done. They're down and out. I think that they're about to fall down the table. And they have continued to survive and, dare I say, thrive. And I don't think I've seen Ashley Sanchez in this fine of form. I think she's playing the best soccer I've seen her play maybe ever.
I would say that. I could agree with that.
We were talking a lot about Manaka and how when Manaka left North Carolina Courage, that felt like the nail in the coffin for them, but it hasn't been. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think they've definitely come together a bit more than I thought they would. And we definitely saw when she first left, they fell off. They did. Like, you can't say that it's always been this glowing. They definitely fell off, but they've clearly been able to come together and go, okay, we've lost that talisman. Who else can we use? And so they've definitely sort of sorted themselves out.
I said there's one more team you talk about. There's actually 2. Should we talk San Diego Wave for a second?
Oh, that's a fall off.
Yeah, talk to me about that. I have things to say. We've talked about it before, but we need to continue this discussion because they've been up and down. And it was really easy for us to sit here and be like, they fell off, they lost Eugenia, and that's a huge loss when Eugenia tore her ACL in June during that break. sometimes they look like their old selves before she got hurt, and sometimes they don't, and they look like a shell of themselves. What have you been seeing?
Well, like, I'm looking at it like now, right? So, for example, they had an absolute astonishing win this last weekend against Utah. It was a 4-2 win against Utah, and you're like, that's San Diego of old. Weekend before, they only managed to draw to Denver, who we love Denver. We've talked about how much we love Denver and as a new team. But considering where San Diego are and the players that they have, you would think they could manage more than one goal against Denver. They obviously lost to Gotham, and then also lost to Seattle, who have also been so down and out and very hit and miss and things like that. It's just, there is no consistency with San Diego whatsoever. And for a team that I think initially we thought, do you know what, they're going to be up there for the Shield, we're going to see them reach the heights that they did with Stoney. Not going to happen this season.
No, I still see them making the playoffs, and they could do.
Oh yeah, they're a playoff team, but they're not going to get the Shield.
Well, you say that like it's set, though. It's not set. They're set with 36 points. That's, 8 points above 8th place? Like, that's that many points above. And it's all still to play for. But yeah, I agree. I don't have anything to add to that. I think you assessed that perfectly. The last team we have to talk about, Allie, is Racing Louisville.
What do you, no, this is your baby. What do you have to say about old Racing Louisville?
I'm just happy for them. Racing Louisville have now won 4 of their last 5 games.
Yet they lost to Chicago.
Okay, we're not going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about.
But we are going to talk about them because they lost to Chicago.
That's okay. You can't win them all. You can't win them all. I'm just happy. I'm happy for them. It started. They got one big win, and it felt like the domino effect. They got another. They got another. They got another. And Bev Yanez said it herself that this was everything finally coming together for a team that has faced so much adversity, worked so hard. I mean, she was pretty blunt. She was like, most teams that I've been a part of as a player or a coach probably would have buried their head in the sand and given up by now, but this team won't, and they haven't. And I think that just needs to be applauded and credited. And I'm happy for them that they won 4 out of the last 5. Chicago, I have no words, Allie. There's tons of articles everywhere. I think everybody in the women's soccer space is kind of saying, like, how much worse can it get for Chicago? Unfortunately, I don't think we've found the bottom.
No. Poor Chicago. I do feel sorry for them, but like, I don't know what they can do. They've got 5 wins, 1 draw, 15 losses out of the games that they've played.
Yeah. News recently while we were on break that they fired their head coach, who had not been around for a very long time, Martin Sorgen. They then rehired Lauren Donaldson as the director of coaching. Lauren Donaldson had been hired the previous year as the head coach and then pretty immediately fired, even though it wasn't his fault about how bad the team was playing. Now he's been rehired. Karina Baez has now taken over as the interim head coach. The bottom doesn't exist yet.
They're giving me that old saying of the fact that, you keep repeating the same thing expecting a different result is the definition of insanity.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk matches for this upcoming weekend before we move along from the NWSL, Alley.
Gotham v. Portland. This is a big game that is happening this weekend. You're talking about Portland as the team that's not going away. Gotham is the team that's currently leading the league. This is going to be a huge matchup. So I'm excited for that one.
I'm excited for that one too. We just mentioned them in the standings, of course, and this, yeah, it'll be a big test for Portland. That is for sure. There's a midweek game happening today, Wednesday, when this episode drops as well. It will be North Carolina, who's currently sitting in 6th place, against Angel City, who are sitting in 9th place, just 2 points below the playoff line. So a big moment for Angel City right now as well. Anything else that stands out to you?
No, I think it's going to have to be Gotham Portland. That's the big. There's a couple, like, obviously, so like San Diego taking on Racing. KC Current have got North Carolina. That could be fun because.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean,
KC, North Carolina. KC have not done as well as we thought they would this season. As you've just said, North Carolina are actually up and coming in terms of things. So that could be a fun battle because they play very differently, and it's always a fun matchup. So I think those are the 2. I think if you're going to pick 2 games this weekend, it's going to be Gotham Portland and it's going to be KC versus North Carolina.
Also, North Carolina and Kansas City, just 2 points separating them in the table. And I just mentioned North Carolina will play midweek as well. So kind of a big moment. Kansas City's 2 points behind North Carolina, and North Carolina will be coming off that midweek game. So a big moment for Kansas City to potentially overtake them in the table. They certainly will have that circled. I'd imagine it's also in Kansas City, notably.
Yes, it is, which is a big, huge fortress. So,
all right, we're back, which means the NWSL is back.
It never went away, just we did.
Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. I haven't sung that in a while.
No. So, because not all of the leagues have kicked off, we're going to tell you when they do. So we're going to do when the start of the league. So we're going to start with France, and League One kicks off on the 4th of September with current champions Lyon taking Fleury, with the rest of the games happening on the 5th and 6th of September.
And to Spain, La Liga kicks off this weekend, spread over the 29th and the 30th. Champions Barcelona will take on Tenerife on the 29th, while runners-up Real Madrid will take on Atletico in the Madrid derby.
To Italy, and it is a late start for Serie A, which doesn't kick off until late September. The 26th of September is the magic date in which all of the teams will start their campaign, the highlight being Inter Milan versus Fiorentina.
And finally, a deep cut at this moment in time, at this August moment in 2026, Champions League, you heard it right, third round. If you are missing football, the third round of qualifiers are this week today on the 26th. When this episode drops, you have Chelsea versus Sociedad, Wolfsburg versus Inter Milan, and Eintracht Frankfurt versus PSG. Just to highlight a few, because of the new setup of Champions League, we've talked about it, we get big matchups early on, and here we are.
So Mike is out of his box, and I get to play instead of being the game master. So for anybody who didn't listen to our summer series, first off, rude. Second of all, because there was a lack of football during the summer, I decided to put Sarah's, mainly test her patience more than anything. But we had games instead of around the world, and Mike was like, I've got a quiz for you two, and I love a quiz, so I'm excited to be the player, not the game master.
Yeah, so I was punished over the summer series and forced to play against Sarah in various quizzes that.
I'm honored, Mike. I feel like we tied most of them.
So I wanted to get my own back a little bit. So what I thought I'd give you a little quiz of a little category quiz for you. So I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to go back and forth and give me players that fit that category.
Do you guys remember the last time we played this? I had a stress stream about it the night before. I had an actual nightmare about how I was going to be asked questions about these obscure players that I would have no knowledge of.
I think we're not going to be much better.
Happened, but I'm just having the realization that how stressed these games made me.
If it makes you feel better, Sarah, I guarantee you know all these players.
Thank you.
Which might make it worse.
I know. All right. I'm ready.
So we're expecting at some point in the next couple of weeks an announcement on the shortlist for the Ballon d'Or. And so I'm wondering if you guys can tell me all the players that were nominated for the Ballon d'Or last year.
No.
All of the players.
Well, until you get one wrong. You go one at a time until you get one wrong.
All of the players. There's a lot of players nominated for the Ballon d'Or.
There's 30 to choose from.
Okay, wait, let me put myself in time. Yeah, please start, Allie. But with the Ballon d'Or is given out in October
so
of each year?
This is the best players in the world between August of 2024 and July of 2025.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the very obvious, which is Bon Mati.
The winner of the Ballon d'Or?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with, I believe, who was second place, which was Mariona Caldente, who many actually thought should have won it, including a lot of us here at this podcast.
I feel like that's the only reason we have the Ballon d'Or, is to complain about who won the Ballon d'Or. I think
it's just like FIFA rankings. It doesn't really matter. It's just so people can talk about it online.
Okay, I'm going to go with, I'm pretty sure Yui Hasegawa was on the list.
It's a wild shout. And it's not true.
No, I'm sure she was. There we go, short game.
No. I'm just trying to go in rank order. Here's who I thought Allie was going to say. Alessio Russo, I believe, was third place in the Ballon d'Or.
That is correct.
Allie, go with some lionesses here.
No, I'm going to go with Schwinger. Schwinger was on the list, right?
She came 17th overall.
Allie's testing themselves. I'm going to go with Arsenal legend and U.S. Women's National Team legend, Emily Fox.
Ding, 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 ding. Correct. Number 25 overall. 7 votes.
7 votes.
I'm going to go with, that's on my shirt, and I'm going to go Barbara Banda.
Barbara Banda is there, yes.
I'm going to go with another shout, and it's a player that this podcast has spoken very, very highly of since the inception of the podcast in 2020. And for here, episode 1 of season 9, why not bring it all the way back to the one and only, the Scottish Caroline Weir.
She is on the list.
Yes.
She's number 30 on the list. She didn't get any votes.
She's 30 of 30.
Which seems really mean.
It's so mean.
So I'm glad she got a shout out here.
Okay, I am going to go for a lioness. I'm going to go for a bit of a rogue one because she did win an award, but not the Ballon d'Or. She won the goalkeeper, whatever the goalkeeper award is. So I'm going to go Hannah Hampton. I think she's still on the main list, even though she won the goalkeeper award.
I don't think she is, Allie.
She is. She's the only goalkeeper on the list.
Oh, thank God.
I knew she was. That wasn't even a guess. You're thinking, I don't think she is. No, I knew she was. Hannah, yeah, because she was the only goalkeeper on the list. So
I feel like I'm getting a lot of names flooding into my head right now. So I am going to go with La Reina Alexia Putellas.
Correct. Nice easy one. Do you want to make it harder and go for ones in the top 10? Because there's still a fair few top 10s that you haven't got. You're missing half the top 10, I would say.
I'm pretty sure she was in the top 10. I'm going to go Lucy Bronze.
Lucy Bronze is number 9.
Yeah, I was going to say she was lower half, top 10.
Wow. Okay, this might not be a top 10, but I'm going to go for it because maybe it should be. Pernille Harder?
Pernille Harder is not top 10. She's number 20th overall.
Well, all right. So we got 6 of the top 10. Give us the other 4.
We're not done. We've not done. No.
Ali's locked in.
Yeah. Because I've got another, what I think is a great answer.
Hit me.
I'm going to go for Barcelona and Polish legend, Pajor.
That is a good one. Number 8. So I think there's only 3 left.
Summer 2025 was the Women's Euros.
Yes.
Which makes me think that there were more lionesses in the top 10 than we have mentioned. Ones we haven't mentioned that I'm deciding between are Leah Williamson and Chloe Kelly, who both had big tournaments. Leah Williamson, I'm going to say.
Correct. Number 7.
I'm going to cheat and take the other one, Chloe Kelly.
That is also correct. Number 5.
Oh, wow. Wow. We really just had to lean into the Euros of it all, and that sorted itself out really quickly.
What now? One left.
8?
Number 6.
We got one. Okay.
Number 6 is the only one left.
Did we say Patri Guijarro yet?
We did not, and that is the correct answer.
Yes. I leaned back into the Euros of it all, and I was like, it has to be a Spanish player.
I was going to say it's going to be all Spain, and
I'm going to say I was thrown by the Hannah Hampton on the list. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think you guys did well. I think you guys pulled some deep cuts out there.
Respectable.
I'll take that.
Bonus point for mentioning Caroline Weir as well, which is always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mike. Do you want to stay out here, or is Allie going to send you away?
Michael, go away.
To close out this episode, we are going to talk WSL, now known as WSL 1, everybody.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Hey, you like to rile me up, so I'm just doing the same. It starts on Friday, September 4th. One matchup, and it will be London City Lionesses hosting Manchester United. And then there will be, I think one game on Saturday, September 5th. And then all of the rest of them, that's 5 more games, on Sunday. This is big. There are 14 teams for the first time in the WSL, thanks to expansion. First and foremost, Allie, before we get into the season, how are you feeling about the expanded league?
I think it's been needed. It's been needed for a long time. And they've done it in the right way because they tried to do it when there was only 11 teams and teams got bye weeks and that get all sorts of confusing. So I think you need an even number and they've done it the right way. So I think it's about time.
All right. Charlton, of course, has joined the WSL. Birmingham City All right. We would like to welcome back Crystal Palace as well. They're here. No, sorry. That was really tough.
Sarah has high hopes for Crystal Palace, it seems.
For those who don't remember it, we don't need to get into it, actually, the backstory of how we got where we are, right? With the demotion and the promotion.
If you don't know by now the amount of times I explained it last season, then then I can't help you.
But Charlton are in the WSL for their first time ever. Birmingham City and Crystal Palace are back, so they're new this year, but they are not new. They've been in the WSL before. This is all to say we're at 14 teams, and here we go. We are a weekend now, 2 days away from the beginning of the 2026-2027 season. So let's talk about it. Allie, Manchester City will be defending the title. Looking at all 14 teams, let's talk about it this way. The first question that you have very graciously given us, I'm going to pose to you.
Sure.
Before I answer it myself. Who is going to do better than expected? This be across the whole table.
Yeah, across the whole table. So I would say that I think our top three is going to remain the top three it's been for as many years. I think it's going to be some form of configuration of Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City. I don't know in what order yet. I'll have to see how all of them are played because some have made better signings than others. It's a whole thing. But I do think it's going to be that configuration. I think it's going to be your Brightons and your Tottenhams that are going to do better than you think.
That's kind of a bold statement though, because I feel like they were those teams last year. Like, you look at how they finished. Tottenham finished 5th, just below Manchester United, and Brighton, they finished 7th, which doesn't sound super impressive. Sorry, Mike. But it is, and it was, and they've been doing really well. So you think that they're going to even best what they did last year? You think Tottenham will be vying for the top 4, basically? You think Tottenham's going to overtake United for that number 4 spot?
100%. 100%. And that pains me as a West Ham fan. It does pain me. But I will say that is true because of how poorly I think Manchester United are going to do.
I think that is not as big of a statement as you saying Brighton will do better than how they did. Because teams they finished behind, Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham, and London City Lionesses. It was just those 6 teams that were ahead of them in the standings. London City has loaded themselves up in the offseason. They have signed so many players. You just said Tottenham's going to overtake United. So who is Brighton going to overtake?
Man United, because Man United, I feel, are going to have a crashing season. They're going to have an absolute, having seen them in preseason, they are going to have a crashing season.
I guess that answers our next question of who's going to do worse than you expect. But let's stay on this first question because, we've talked about the United of it all. We have to then talk more about it when we get to the next question. So Brighton and Tottenham, you think will do better than expected. Anybody else who you think will do better than people expect?
I was going to say, we go by people expect. I think my beloved West Ham will probably do better. I don't think we're going to be in a relegation battle. And for West Ham, that is a better scenario than anything else. I also think that, I don't know, I think that those are the main ones. I think Villa are still up in the air, if I'm honest, because of the transfer they've done, or the lack of. And the new guys, they may surprise me, but none of them have done big business, really, to really cement them. Especially, you look at Charlton, they've signed a lot of experienced WSL players, but it's a lot of experienced WSL players, and I'm just going to leave that one there in the fact that, it's Emily Van Egmond who's probably on her 6th club in 4 years. It's, Ashley Neville that wasn't good enough for Tottenham, was with a relegated Leicester and has now gone to a Charlton. You know what I mean? It's not, they're not signing Mateus.
I think you nailed it because it's kind of hard to pinpoint any other club and say they're going to do better than expected because of kind of the lack of moves on the off season. So the only one that you didn't say that I guess I'll throw out there is the one that you kind of love to hate on. So I'm just going to throw it out there, and that's London City.
Yeah, but are they going to do better than expected? That's the question, because they're currently expected to do very well based on the players that they have.
Are they?
Yes!
But they're not expected to finish top 3.
But
I don't think that they will.
They'd probably fight Tottenham for top 4.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. They're probably expected to do that. Okay, fair enough. All right, let's go to the other question. Who do you think is going to do worse than they are expected to do? I agree with you. Manchester United. Just a few weeks ago, we talked about how they finally fired, or I don't know if they actually fired or Mark Skinner walked away. Either way, Mark Skinner is not at the club anymore. What a moment to let go of your head coach. You have the entirety of the offseason to do it, and you decide within a month of the season returning, actually now is the moment where we're going to let him go. A club that has not been able to retain talent, a club that has not really been able to sign talent either, and it's just been a slow slide. And this will be maybe the quickest slide we see from them, dare I say.
100%. So I don't think it's going to be the new manager's fault. She's very good. She comes from very I think she got Hearts to win the Scottish League last year. She's very good at developing young talent. Manchester United have made it very clear they want to promote within. They want to use their youth talent. They don't want to buy in talent. That's fine. They currently have no wingers whatsoever, and if you watch the game against Liverpool in pre-season, you clearly saw that they were putting random players in that winger position that are not wingers, were not comfortable. We saw Anna Sandberg come back from injury, who was thrown into that winger position and was not comfortable and had to be swapped out at half-time into a different thing. The midfield's working, but that's about it. And they're not signing players. They've signed 2. So unless they suddenly have influx of signings, which I don't think they will, it's gonna be a rough season for you, Man United fans. I'm sorry, but it will be.
Anybody else stand out on this list to you who maybe didn't make the moves they needed to make in the offseason and are probably in a worse position now than they were at the end of the season, and thus maybe why we can say they are going to do worse than they are generally expected to do?
I'm going to say Liverpool. I think Liverpool...
That's so funny. I was thinking Liverpool also.
I think Liverpool, again, haven't made the moves they need to. They've lost a lot of talent to various things. So like Leanne Kernahan's now left them. Shizmu, who was on loan, has gone back to Manchester City. Doesn't look like she's coming back. Denise O'Sullivan, who's with them, has gone back to the NWSL. So they've lost a lot of talent, and the talent they brought back in, again, it's a lot of youngsters, it's a lot of European talent, which is great, but it's not the big heavy hitting names. So I don't think, you've got to remember, Liverpool is a team that have won the league twice, and they haven't really come close since. And I don't think this is the season they're going to come back close again.
I guess this isn't written down, but let's talk about the 2 debutantes and the non-debutante, but back into the
yes.
Or the 1 debutante and the 2 non-debutantes that are now freshly back into the WSL, and that's Birmingham City, Charlton, and Crystal Palace. When you think of these 3 as the 3 that just joined for this season or rejoined, whichever you're talking about, who do you feel like is best set up between the 3 of them to vie for that middle of the table position, or just in general, who is best set up in this league to avoid that bounce back and being relegated?
Probably Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have signed some great players. They've got a few players on loan. Beth England went from Tottenham to Crystal Palace. That's a big signing. They've managed to keep Annabelle Blanchard, who was huge for them both in the season they were in the WSL and the season in the Championship, to get them back up. So I will say that Crystal Palace has probably done the best business out of those 3 and could probably comfortably see themselves safe. I'm worried about Charlton, and I am worried about Birmingham City in terms of the straight bounce back.
Why? They just haven't made the moves they needed to make.
Birmingham have made a couple, but again, you're looking at, they've made experienced WSL players that aren't quite up there. So, for example, their big signings have been Millie Turner and Lisa Narsland from Manchester United, both great players. But if you ask any Manchester United player, they'll be like, Millie Turner's a great defender, but she's just not Manchester United level, which means they may be able to get some points around the teams around them, but they haven't really, and they got rid of so many players that brought them up, which I get they do, but they haven't replaced them. It's fine to gut your team if you're going to replace them, but they haven't replaced them.
I'm still of the mindset of don't gut your team.
Oh no, I agree you shouldn't, but a lot do. And they have, but they just haven't replaced them. Oh, and Charlton, as I've just said, they've got a lot of experienced heads, but again, it's, they've raided Leicester, who got relegated. They've raided other Championship teams. So Charlton's probably the one I'm really worried about out of all of them.
I'm going to ask you about one more team before we move to our final question here, because in all of this, we've really covered 13 of the 14 teams. We've mentioned them at least. and where we think they'll fall, the one we haven't talked about is Everton.
Everton's interesting because they have signed some great players. Again, they were part of the raiding of Leicester City, and they have picked up a few of Leicester City's heavy hitters. They've locked down Courtney Brosnan, who was huge for them last season as a goalkeeper. They have kept Hannah Blondell, who went on loan from Manchester United. They've now signed her permanently. So they've signed well. I think they're going to be solidly mid-table. I don't think they're a relegation threat, but I don't think they're challenging much higher either.
All right, final question then. We've talked about who's getting relegated. Now it's time to discuss. This will be the first year in which 2 clubs will just officially get relegated. 2 will go down, 2 will go up. Who will be getting relegated, Allie?
I do think it's going to be some of the newbies. It's going to be.
Do you think it'll be 2 of 2 newbies, though? Do you think it will be Charlton and and Birmingham City?
I think it will be Charlton automatically, but then you've got to remember it's a playoff. It is a playoff.
That's
between
right.
The second to last place and the second team. And Birmingham have proved that they can do it. They can, pull it out when it's needed. So that I don't know, but I do think it'll be one of the newbies that gets the automatic.
I'm worried about Liverpool. I think that they're going to be really in the mix there too. I'm not going to lie. Like if we're picking a few teams that are going to be vying for the bottom of it, I'm not going to say West Ham because I'm not going to disparage you. But I do think Liverpool is going to find themselves in the bottom of that. They kind of narrowly escaped it. When you look at points, it's not narrowly, but that was not a positive season that Liverpool had last year. They were finished 11th of 12. Leicester City, of course, the 12th, they were relegated in that playoff. But Liverpool, we just mentioned, it wasn't good enough in the offseason, and I'm worried about them being down at the bottom.
Do you want to talk about the London City of it all? Because they are the big thing. I will say, so they played a friendly, or it was the cup, or they did something. I can't quite remember what it was. And you look at the squad they have. The squad is huge, and it is a huge talent, and it's very exciting to see. But as somebody said, they're going to have a lot. The biggest hard work they're going to have is keeping everyone happy. Because they did their pre-season friendly, and you look at that bench and you're like, Mary Earps was not the starting goalkeeper, as I didn't think she would be.
Yeah, we didn't think so.
No, you thought she would be. I said she would be. And then you were like, as if you wouldn't start Mary Earps. So it's about keeping them happy. I don't know. On paper, it's a fantastic squad. Whether or not paper translates to actual results, we shall see.
That's going to be the big question, right? Can they gel in time? A bunch of players, and what we haven't talked about is one of the hardest parts of a new club. We talked about this with the NWSL a lot. Is that it's not like you slot some players into a style of play that's already developed, that the majority of your players already know how to play in. You are starting from ground zero, and that means developing connections between players, but it also means you have to spend a lot of time implementing a system as a coach. Other teams don't have to do that. Your system's there. You're just teaching players how to slot in their role in that system. Instead, you're implementing an entirely brand new system and teaching that. And so we'll see. A second year should be better than the first year. There's a lot of talent. And I think when you are involving yourself in a brand new club like London City, you have to have veteran players because they've been through it. They know how to play in different systems. They know how to play whatever style of football you're saying you want to implement. And it's less teaching for those coaches. So I'm interested. I am interested. It was bold of Michelle Kang to say that in their first season they want Champions League. They didn't get it. Can they get it in their second season? Also very, very bold when you talk about breaking that top 3 of Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Strong contenders for 4, though, in my opinion.
Yes, for sure.
I think that does it for us. Our first episode back. First episode of season 9. Talk to everybody about Patreon before we close it out.
So yes, please check out our Patreon. Me and Mike did a huge special on the other 10, as we are currently calling it. If anybody's got any better names for it, please let us know, because it doesn't quite roll off the tongue as other 8. So if you've got anything else, please hit us up. But we did a big thing about the transfer windows of the other 10 and how we think that's going to affect the season. So please do check out our Patreon. It was a good fun thing. But yeah.
All right. And that does it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.